Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to give you a brief introduction of Lean Six Sigma. So this is a live example. For example, you are going to the hospital to see a doctor. So there are a few steps that you need to go through. You need to register. You need to wait until you have time, until the doctor have time to do the diagnosis, and you need to wait again until you get your treatment. So all these steps, they are value-added steps, and also they are non-value-added steps. We call those non-value-added steps wastes. So in the first place, we use lean tools to get rid of the waste, to reduce all the waiting steps, which means non-value-added. So in this way, the process will be more efficient. You'll be much faster. And once we get rid of all the waste, so those steps that is left behind, we still can improve it. Then we use Six Sigma tools to improve the variation of each remaining steps, which means we improve the quality of each step. Variation means the process may vary. For example, the time for registration may take 10 minutes, may take 30 minutes. The treatment time may take 20 minutes, may take 50 minutes. Why is there's a variation? So there must be the reason for that. And if we can reduce this variation to make the steps very, very stable, for example, every treatment takes only 50 minutes. So in that case, the quality is much stable. So in that way, we are actually improving the whole process by using two kind of methodology. The first methodology we use is lean, which means we use lean to reduce waste, to get rid of all the non-value-added steps. And the second tool we use is Six Sigma, which means we use Six Sigma methodology to improve to reduce the variation or to improve the quality of all those remaining steps. So Lean Six Sigma give us lean tools which bring us the efficiency, which means the speed, and the Six Sigma give us the quality. So the overall result will be you'll have a process which will give you high quality and fast delivery and low cost products. Okay, since the topic is Lean Six Sigma, so there are actually two methodologies we're going to talk about. The first tool is lean tools, and the principles of lean comes from lean manufacturing. So let's have a brief introduction of what lean manufacturing is. So what is lean manufacturing? In short, lean manufacturing means you use the minimum resources to produce the maximum output. So minimum resources means minimum manpower, minimum equipment, minimum time, minimum factory space, minimum material and capital. So use whatever you use the least that you can to produce the maximum conforming product. And you produce the exact quantity that the customer demands. And you deliver on the exact time that the customer wants it. Of course, you have to produce all these products at a competitive price, which means low cost. So in short, it means minimum input, maximum profit. So that's the meaning of lean. And we know that lean originated from Toyota. Toyota's manufacturing process is the most efficient and output is the best quality. So Toyota has been doing this for a long time. And the Western world was wondering, how come Toyota can do such a good product with such an efficient process? So the US people US experts conduct a very, very thorough study on Toyota production system. And after studying the whole system, it gives Toyota system a name, lean manufacturing. Actually, the word lean is actually from the US experts. And since we have lean manufacturing, after the whole study of Toyota production system, the US people has summarized lean with 5 principles. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the 5 principles of lean manufacturing. So the first principle is value. This is the key word. So what is value? Whatever the customer is paying you to do, that's value. The activities that you do is actually paid by the customer. That activity is of value. So on the other hand, those non-value added steps or non-value added process, we have the term for it is waste. So the first principle is value. So let's look at. So when you analyze a process, always look at the steps that is of value. So when you define value, which means whatever is demanded by the customer, you call it value. And to produce or to provide value to the customer, you need a process. We call this complete process value stream. So you have value, and you have a value stream to produce this value. And since you have value stream, this value stream must be able to flow, which means it's continuous flowing along your process, along your production line. It should not stop. So once you see a flow that stopped, it's either there's a problem with the equipment, there's a problem with the process, there may be problem with the people, there may be some quality issues. That's why the value stream stopped to flow. So you must have a continuous flow. And the flow must be created by demand pool, which means when you have a customer demand, then you trigger the value stream, then the value stream start to flow. So on the opposite is when there's no customer demand and you start to have your value stream start to make it flow, and whatever is produced, you are building the inventory because there's no customer yet. So in lean, we emphasize on whatever you produce, there must be a customer demand. And when there's a demand, then you pull the whole value stream to make it flow. So after that, you start to look for points or steps for improvement. You make the whole thing perfect. So we call it pursuing perfection. So all the 5 principles that add up together, you can achieve your lean operation. If you can achieve all the 5 principles, what the result is, you have a process which is a low cost, which is a high quality, and which has a very, very short delivery time. So short cycle time, low cost, high quality. That's the result of applying all the 5 principles of lean manufacturing. The first principle of lean manufacturing is value. So what is value? This word is very, very important. So we define value by 3 criteria. The first criteria is you have a lot of activities in your factory. So these activities is for you to produce the product to meet the customer demand. The first criteria for value is those activities that you have done, that is all these activities the customer is willing to pay. So when the activities that the customer is paying you, that is value added. For example, you machine a part. So that is what customer is paying you. You pack a product. That's what customer is paying you. So this activity, we call this value. But there are other activities. For example, you are conducting a meeting to talk about your sales strategy. Okay, this activity is not paid by the customer. So we call this non-value added activity. So those activities not paid by the customer, we call it non-value added. And we try to minimize it. It doesn't mean that we cannot do it at all. you try to minimize it. For example, you need to conduct a meeting, you have to do, but don't conduct too many meetings. So that's the meaning of value added. That's first criteria. Whatever is paid by customer is value added. The second criteria for value is this activity fundamentally change the product. When you pack a product, they are packing material, they are boxes, bags, and so on. So you change the product. You are doing machining on the product. The shape of the product will change. So when there's a change in the product, it's whether the physical product or some information change, then you are adding value to the product. So that's the second criteria. On the opposite, what is not value added? For example, you do inspection on the product. Inspection itself will not change the product at all. So before inspection, after inspection, the product looks exactly the same. So in this way, we don't classify inspection as value. And the third criteria is you may be doing activity that will change the product, but you have to make sure this activity is not part of rework. It must be the first, we call it do it right the first time. So only when you change the product, the first time you work on the product, that is value added. So if you the first time you didn't do it right, and the second time you start to rework it and try to correct the process, so you are changing the product, but that's not value added. So there are three, the criteria for value, there are three criteria. First, any activities that's paid by the customer. Second criteria, that activity will change the physical product or the information of the product. And third activity, the third criteria is this activity must be, it must not be rework. It must be do it right the first time. So that's how we define value. So if you take a look at your process, your manufacturing process, your production process, you find there are many activities we are doing. And based on the three criteria, you can see how many steps or how many activities are of value to the customer. When you talk about value, then we know some activities is value. Some activities there's no value. So for those activities without value, we call it waste. So in lean manufacturing, we focus on waste elimination. We try our best to reduce the waste. Here is a visual illustration. We receive a customer order, and the order goes through our production process, and once the product is ready, we will deliver our product to the customer. So from a customer order to product delivery, there's quite a long process, and there are many activities going together with the process. But along this process, there are value-added activities and also a lot of non-value-added activities. So those are the ways. So with value-added and non-value-added, all together, we have a delivery time. We call it time one. And by using lean manufacturing methodology and tools, we start to focus on waste elimination. And after some effort, we reduce the waste. And you can see the product delivery is reduced to time 2 is much shorter. So getting rid of the waste will shorten our cycle time or shorten our delivery time. There's something you need to notice. In our process, we have value-added activities, and we also have non-value-added activities. But you may be very surprised to see that in the whole process, value-added activities may take only about 5%, which means you spend 100 minutes from receiving customer order. For example, you spend 100 minutes, but actually you only have 5%, which means 5 minutes of value-added activity. The rest of 95 minutes are all non-value-added, all waste. So in every process, there are much more waste than value. So if we focus on reducing the waste, let's say if we reduce the waste from 90%, 95% to 90%, and further on, we reduce the waste from 90% to 85%, you can see the value-added percentage or the portion will be tremendously increased, which means you increase efficiency tremendously. So that's the way of how lean manufacturing is focusing on how to eliminate all the waste. Therefore, we come to a concept of shall we work hard or shall we work smart? Okay, this is an illustration. You see, in our process, we have a small portion of value-added activities, and we have a majority, the major portion of waste. So to improve this situation, there are two ways of doing it. The not so smart way is to focus on value-added activities. Shall we do more? We increase the content or increase the portion of the value-added activities. You can do that, but don't forget, if you do more value-added activities, there will be more associated waste. And in the meantime, you bring along a lot of waste together. So this way, if you will try to focus on your value and try to do more value, you won't reduce the overall efficiency, because when you increase value, you also, at the meantime, increase all those associated waste. And the smarter way will be, we don't focus on value, we focus on the waste. Let's try our best to reduce the proportion of waste. Reducing waste is easier than increasing value, and we can be very focused to focus on all the waste and reduce it. So by doing so, the percentage or the proportion of value will increase. So this will be a smarter way. So in lean manufacturing, our focus is actually not on value, but on waste. But when you analyze your process, you have to identify, okay, how much percent of your activities are of value? How many percent of your activities are all waste? So once you identify this, you can focus on how to reduce those wastes. So what are waste? What are the wastes that we are trying to eliminate or to reduce or to minimize? Actually, there are traditionally there are 7 wastes. And now we call it 8 waste of production, because 7 waste, we add 1 more waste to that. Okay, what are the traditional 7 waste? So these are the 7 waste we normally talk about: defects, overproduction, waiting, transportation, inventory, motion, excess processing. So these are the traditional 7 waste, which is from Toyota. And the one additional waste that is non-utilized talents. So these are the 8th waste. So we call it 7 plus 1. So let's go through one by one, all those wastes. Okay, defects. We can understand when you produce a good product is of value, but when you produce a product that is defective, so that's the waste. Overproduction. You should produce the exact amount that the customer demands. So a lot of people will try to produce the amount that is more than customer demand, so the excess amount will be put into inventory. So in lean, this is not the right way to do. Try to do exactly what the customer wants. So every product in your production line, there should be an order. There should be a customer order. The next waste is very obvious: waiting. So the material may be waiting there to be processed. The workers may be waiting. They are waiting for the material. Maybe they are waiting for the machine. So they are sitting down waiting. Transportation. You may need to transport your raw material from the warehouse to production line, you may need to transport the semi-finished product from one process to the next process, from one location to another location. Inventory, there are three types of inventory. You may have inventories of raw material. You may have inventory of semi-finished products. You may have inventory of finished product. So all those inventories in lean is a waste. Sometimes it's inevitable you must have some level of inventory, but try to minimize it, reduce it. Motion. When you work on the product, when you do assembly, when you do packing, as long as this human work, there must be some motion. Your hands may be moving, your legs may be moving, your whole body may be moving. Motion is a waste, especially excess movement. So the best way is minimize your motion. Everything is within the touch of your arm. You don't have to, step 2 steps away to get the product, then to bring it to the workbench and do it, and then make another 2 steps to put it in the inventory box and so on. So try to minimize all the motion, because motions we classify as waste. And excess processing. Try to do the bare minimum that customer demands, the bare minimum that you can fulfill the quality requirements. So don't overdo it. There are a lot of over processing. So that's a waste. And the 8th one is non-utilized talents. For example, you have some very creative ideas, you have some very innovative ideas, and you keep quiet, you don't use it. So we call this waste of non-utilized talents. So altogether, we have defects, we have overproduction, we have waiting, whether it's material, whether it's worker, whether it's equipment, non-utilized talents of our staff, transportation of raw material, of semi-finished product or finished products, inventory of raw material, semi-finished or finished products, any motion, and any excess processing. So all these are the wastes. So in the previous page, we focus on elimination of the waste. So what are the wastes? These are the 8 types of waste that we try to focus and eliminate when we can identify it. So by doing so, we can increase the value added portion from 5%, maybe to 10%, maybe to 15%, and so on. So that way you can improve the efficiency tremendously. And here are some of the examples of the waste. For example, you can see the staff, the workers are waiting. So this is waste of waiting. You can see someone is transporting the maybe this is the raw material or semi-finished products from one station to another station. So transportation is a waste. So how to eliminate this transportation waste? So you can see a production line, which means the production line is in such a way that you don't need somebody to transport this. So you can just, with your hand reach, you can get the product from the previous step, previous process, and previous station, and you process it, and you just pass on to the next station. So you actually there's no much transportation involved. So there are ways of reducing all this transportation. Okay, here is obvious waste of defects. All these products, the labels are actually describing what kind of quality problem it has on these products. So all these are waste. Waste of motion, you can see this worker do a very big motion. Actually, by right, everything's supposed to be within the reach of our arm. You don't need to stand up to stretch your arm and to even have one step out to reach whatever you need. So this is a waste of motion. Waste of inventory, you can see there are a lot of other parts, maybe semi-finished product or the finished products waiting here. So these are the inventory. Inventory is also part of waiting, and you have overproduction. You produce too much. It's not so this batch may not be something that the customer has already placed an order. You are just building up your inventory. So overproduction it costs a lot of things. It costs inventory, it will cost waiting, and of course it will cost also transportation. You have to transport this to the warehouse, and so on. So these are some of the examples of 7 waste or 8 waste. And to reduce all these waste, in Japan, in Toyota, they have a term Kaizen. Now we use the term lean manufacturing or lean production or even lean management, but lean is not the word given by the Japanese, it's given by the US experts. In Japan, they make it very simple, Kaizen. So what's the Japanese word Kaizen mean? Actually, it's also in Chinese. Kai means change. Zen means good. So Kaizen together is actually to make it better, to improve it means Kaizen. So in Japan, all those things they do, they just say we are trying to do some improvement. But when the US expert team analyze the whole process, they give you the very good term, lean. And also they say in lean, we have 5 principles. And lean, we have 7 ways, or now we have 8 ways. So once they analyze the whole Toyota production system, and from the simple word Kaizen, they can make it the whole, theory or methodology of lean. And now, since we have the whole methodology, it's much easier for us to implement lean in our factory. In sense of lean, the key elements of lean are actually included in this the house of lean manufacturing. So you can see here there are 2 major pillars. The pillars, one is just in time, the other one is building quality. Just in time means you have to produce the exact amount and deliver at the time exactly what the customer wants it. No more, no less. So this is efficiency. And the other column is building quality, which means you produce the right amount at the right time, but the quality must be also right. So you have quality product produced at the right time, in the right quantity, at the right cost. So to do just in time, to produce efficiency, we have a lot of lean tools. For example, we have production line balancing, we have value stream analysis, we have a single piece flow, a pull system, we have production line layout, we have Kanban system, we have a SMED, single minute exchange of die, which means you want to change your mode very fast, because changing mode is a waste. It's not that you change a mode to convert to the next model. This activity is not paid by the customer. So you try to reduce it. Instead of spending 2 hours to change the mode, can you just spend 10 minutes to change the mode? So we have tools for all this. So by implementing all these tools, you can achieve just in time. And to achieve just building quality, we may have automation, we may have error-proof design, we may have cause and effect matrix analysis, failure mode analysis, and so on. So all these, we have all these tools to improve quality. So you have efficiency, you have quality. Of course, you have a foundation. So all this is based on the foundation of you have a process, statistical process control, SPC. You have visual management, for example, 5S. You have total productive management, total productive maintenance, which means that you make sure the equipment are in tip-top condition. And you have standard work, you have lean operation, and so on. So these are the foundation. So based on all this, then you achieve what customer wants. So you listen to the voice of customer, VOC, takt time, which means the cycle time to produce your product from receiving order to product delivery. So make sure the time will fulfill the customer needs, and you have QFD, quality function deployment, which use this tool to improve quality. So you have just in time, you have building quality, you build a foundation, finally you meet your customer demand. So this is what we call the house of Lean. And there are a lot of detailed description in the books that we can recommend. One is the first book is The Machine That Changes the World. So this book is actually the first book that defines lean manufacturing. Before that, is actually the way Toyota produced their cars. But after studying Toyota, the expert team from MIT and other organizations in the US start to summarize or analyze the whole Toyota system and put this in the book, The Machine That Changes the World. So here is a very good description of how this lean manufacturing works. And also we have another book, Lean Thought, which is a book that defines or have very detailed description of all the lean methodologies and the lean tools. So with these two books, we can have a very much deeper understanding of lean manufacturing. So that's all I want to share with you today. Thanks for listening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.